What's up, criminals? Today we're gonna be talking about villains. Villains from Imaginators, not the ones from Chap Team. Just because I physically don't have Chap Team, I have other things to do with that. But I want to talk about the people that I just think that didn't deserve a character list on here. And maybe you guys would be mad about that, and maybe you won't. I don't know. You guys tell me who you think personally shouldn't have got one. But we're gonna go over it. And the reason being is that I don't know. I don't really hear people talk about it. Maybe people just kind of accept the villains we got now because it is a really cool concept. You know, bring in villains from the previous, well, not previous, but 2 games ago for just a spotlight role is pretty nice, right? The villains were probably loved. I like the villains. I love Trap Team. And it was a smart idea. You didn't have to have that many creative thoughts for it. You just had to think of a moveset and pair them together, and bada bing, bada boom. You got them. But I think Talon Crow and Clobber were 2 characters that shouldn't have gotten that treatment. We'll go over Talon Crow first. And I'll tell you, blanked out, I do not care about the lore. I think both the lore can be made for both of these characters, and we'll get to Clobber after. But Talon Crow's is one that I don't hear the defense for, but it's probably because no one talks about Talon Crow, and that is that his lore reasoning for being a fire type now, after switching from the dark, is because Eon told him to be nice, and he was like, nah, fuck you, but eventually kind of grew to it, and he took away the dark path he lived and got rid of his katana and put it for a more standard roundhouse fire kick. I don't know what fucking standard living we are living in, but I don't know of any fire kick. And he wanted to teach the young ninjas to do good. Well, isn't this guy just so charitable? Yet his only fire move is that fucking roundhouse kick. I don't know which one came first, you know, the roundhouse kick or the lore, but I bet you they both fed into each other. And he literally has nothing else that does the fire. His other moves are, you know, the standard throwing stars, which they had to put in because, you know, every sensei had their little specialty to them. Then he also has Buzzerbeak, which I can at least say that's pretty cool. You know, giving a character that would never gotten like a character spot like in a million years, just because, you know, Buzzerbeak is a pretty bland character, put into this game and just as a supporting role, pretty cool. But we'll come back to him again because I want to make a separate point to the main reason why I don't like him. He took away the spot of Chef Pepperjack. I love Chef Pepperjack. He was my favorite character, even more than Pinata was in the main game. Mainly because, you know, he had the main role. Pinata was just someone there that I thought was always goofy and funny looking, and, you know, typically Mexican, which I am. And with it, I love Chef Pepperjack. I love peppers. I like him. I liked his music. I like how he sound. I like food. Like, come on, what is there not to love about this guy? And with the villains being on here, which most of the villains are Doom Raiders, they are the big boss. We got Wolfgang, you know, you got Chaos in there, you got fucking Golden Queen, and I'll blank on the rest. Like Chompy Mage, you know, someone that's historical. And I think a lot of people like Chef Pepperjack. I don't know who the fuck was talking about Talon Crow. They don't even talk about him now. You know, he took away him. And maybe the reason they didn't do Chef Pepperjack is obviously because it doesn't fall into one of these categories, one of these preset categories that they made. But who says they couldn't switch it up, right? I want to make a little defense case right now in the Talon Crow segment to say what I think they could have done for him. They easily could have just switched out his like little blender mixer thing, like his standard attack, into a different kitchen item. And instead of putting Buzzerbeak as like some supporting role, he could maybe pull out Broccoli Guy, because they're both vegetables. They could have made a very good food-inspired base thing that would make more sense for Fire than this fucking faker. He's a faker, in my opinion. And that's why I don't like Talon Crow. But let's get on to the bigger one. The one that I think more people try to defend and usually come up with the lore defense for, and that is going to be Clobber. So, for Clobber, this is where the big lore one comes out. Let me do the shitty rundown. So he was a pharaoh, and his brother was a jelly, and then they got shoved him into an underwater tomb. There's the water comes up, and you know, they kind of fought for a while for who should take the temple and shit, and then like they didn't do a good job, and he came back and he fucking murked them. Bang bang, you know, fucking pummeled their ass. You could say he even clobbered them. Yeah, hit it with like the drum set, you know, did it, you know, cool. I still don't care. And the reason I don't care, I forget if I said this was Talon Crow, is because they made it up to fit the narrative that he should be water. Was he water in the trap team? No. So he's not water here. That's how my brain works. Because it doesn't make any sense. Now, to be fair, the water one had a lot less cooler people to pick from, but they still could have. If we had to run through the, the Doom Raider sense, right? They put almost every single one on here. And if we had to pick Gulper, he could still work, right? Just think of a trident, put another end of a trident right at the bottom, and now he's one of those cool little spinner guys. Boom! I just made a new Skylander for them. Obviously, is there going to be a new Skylander game in time in the future? Probably not, but I demand compensation just in case. And they could have still done stuff. I like Gulper a lot more than Graveclobber. I never really liked Graveclobber. He was just a nobody. He was just in the fucking pit that you would kill really fast. And I did watch over a video just to make sure that for some reason they actually did have some water moves in Trap Team for him. No. They really didn't. He had like a Grand Slam which had bones, which could have been undead, but dead Wolfgang, so no overlapping here. So they couldn't do that, and I definitely think maybe they would have, and I definitely think Graveclobber would have just fit in undead. Would I have been more happy that if Wolfgang got taken out just for Graveclobber? Yeah, I definitely would have. I don't know why. I don't really care about Wolfgang, but he was prominent. He's prominent. You had to put him in. But Graveclobber, did you really have to put him in? To be fair, the Earth Element was kind of fucked on characters. They had Brussels Sprout and a fucking chest. I don't even know how that even remotely relates to fucking Earth, but sure. And you know what? Water actually did have a different crow. So if they were really so prominent on trying to bring in a crow character, again, just bring in Cross Crow. I don't remember what Cross Crow did, but at least he's water, and he's as forgettable as Kaituan Crow. But those are my reasonings. All right. To be fair, Graveclobber has a lot more of a weaker one, and the other one has a really biased one. But that's what it's all about. Now, all of this is pure bias, it's pure bliss, and it's pure me complaining about something that will never get changed. But at least I get to put my feelings out there for everybody to watch. And you could tell me in the comments below why I'm stupid and maybe why these characters were probably better for the best for their element in general. And they probably also has to feed in with what they had to beneficially put in. Like, I bet you they needed to, like, have, like, certain amounts of, sharpshooters and shit like that. I think there's 2 or 3 for each. I think that's how they made it. So, they probably had to do something like that, but, screw them. They didn't have to go by that formula. They just made that formula up. But, and maybe tell me if you think there's a different character that is in here that you would put a case for that should have never been in what they're in right now. One that I could definitely see for is probably, what's his fucking name? Hoodsicle. I like him. I like his design. I do like a good little him, and at least it makes sense, right? I could have seen him in Dark in the beginning. Graveclobber I couldn't, and Talon Crow, fuck you. I don't like the crow. He took over the good spot. I definitely could see it. And there's some other characters I wish would have been in the game, but obviously it just doesn't make any sense in any of the slightest. Like, I would have liked to see I-5. I like I-5. I think he's cool, and I like his music. But really taking away the light from Blastertron, yeah, that made no sense. So, yeah. Tell me some characters you would like to see a moveset / character, like, whole-ass character for that didn't get it. Or someone who robbed you. Who robbed you in particular? Now, they don't have to make sense. You can just personally feel like you got robbed. I don't care. Just tell me. But hope you enjoyed my ramblings. Hope you enjoyed my pure anger and my pure deep hatred for Talon Crow. So, I'm sorry. Hope you guys have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.